You're listening to the Reed Fletcher podcast. Let's talk about Schitt's Creek. Me and my wife just finished it. A great show. We watched the farewell show. They have like a little, documentary type thing at the end of Schitt's Creek, and it just talks about the show. And if you haven't seen the show, very simple premise. It is a family that was super rich. They lose all their money in the very first episode, and they end up having to go live in this really crappy rural town called Schitt's Creek. And they actually own the town. That was one of the only assets they got to keep. And so it's kind of like their saving grace, and they moved there. And I don't think it's like the greatest show in the world. I don't think it's like so amazing. I really like it, and I was thinking about why is it so popular, and why has it had such an impact. After watching the farewell, it's now over 6 seasons, and the farewell, so many people were touched by it. And one of the things that happens in the show is the main character David is bisexual. And in the beginning, he kind of dates one of the girls, and then what ends up happening, spoiler, so don't listen to this if you want to watch it, is he ends up marrying one of the dudes, one of the guys in the show. And so, it's a gay wedding. And what I really, really liked about the show was that it was about a gay couple, but it wasn't about a gay couple. Like, it featured a gay couple, and it showed them, and it just highlighted their relationship like any show highlights any relationship. Like, hey, this is our main character. We're going to follow their life and do quirky things and, do romantic things and sad things. It's a story, right? There's going to be an arc and all that, but it wasn't about the fact that they were gay, which I really liked, because it seems to me like, I'm sure you can think of plenty of examples that aren't this way, but it seems like a prevailing idea is, let's highlight the center of our story around the fact that they're gay. And so, and not only that, but let's also put a spin of tragedy and a spin of, look at all these things they've had to overcome. And because they're gay, they deal with homophobia, and they deal with problems. And then like the joyous moments of their relationship are more a sense of victory over the homophobia than just the relationship, the beauty of the relationship. This is something I didn't realize until I watched Schitt's Creek, because in Schitt's Creek, it is not about two men, facing their traditional conservative childhood and parents and neighbor. It's not really homophobic at all, actually. It's just a love story. It's just a love story. And that was so great. There is a place that I feel like has been, a lot of people have done for the story about overcoming the homophobic atmosphere in society and whatever. Sure, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers as far as the need for that goes, but it is so refreshing to be able to just listen to a story that's just, they just are also gay. It's just like, it's actually kind of ironically, in some ways, more accepting of homosexuality than a story highlighting the homophobia. Because it's saying this is normal, right? It's not drawing attention within the story that what they're doing is cause for uproar, right? And so, like, sure, the argument is, well, maybe that's not a reflection of reality. If you make a show and it highlights gay characters and they don't experience homophobia, then you're not showing what gay people would have to go through. Sure. One, not every gay couple is always experiencing homophobia. Different places in the world, different time periods. That aside, sure, you're right. You're not highlighting homophobia. But why does a gay love story have to be about the fact that they're gay? What I loved about it was about these characters. And it shouldn't matter that they're gay, right? It's just like a straight love story. It's the story. It's the love story that was interesting. And I loved that. By the end of the show, you didn't feel like they were preaching. You didn't feel like they were being political. You didn't feel like they were trying to scold you for, not agreeing with them or anything like that. It was just very much, these are characters that you care about, and this is their real story. And I think that's the way to do it. There's so much division on these subjects because half of the people are saying, we have this important message and we need to tell everyone and we need to spread awareness and we need to do this. And then the other half is, we get it. Stop shoving it down our throats. Both halves can be overly aggressive at times and overly sensitive at times. But just in my opinion, that subtle storytelling is so much more powerful. And I was very touched. It's speaking of Schitt's Creek, I mean, it's a great show for a lot of reasons. Another reason is it feels like real life in the sense that sometimes when you're watching a show, you can figure out the pattern. Like, they just said something, like there's a long moment of serious discussion and you're like, okay, this is going to end with like a funny thing. Like, you can kind of feel the rhythm of the writers. And, like someone's like, like a Disney show, like, my dad just left and, it's so sad. Oh, well, time to go play bingo. It's like that rhythm you can feel. But with Schitt's Creek, what makes it good is that they kind of keep you from being able to guess the way it's going, just as if it was real life. Like, you care about these characters. The characters are all very well thought out. The costume design is amazing. I think that's the secret sauce to why that show did so well, especially Maura. Acting, obviously good. But the story, it's also kind of a sign that there's a couple of simple things that you got to get right to make a story that people like. And it has so much more to do with the characters than, any bombastic plot twists or anything like that. Like what happened with Lost. Lost kind of started going to characters, started falling in love with characters, and then it slowly turned into like, how much more dramatic and bombastic can we make these plot twists? It's like, not only are we on an island, but we're on an island in a different dimension, and not only that, but we need more. How can we make this story crazier? We're on an island and we're all dead, and it's a dream, and we're in a snow globe, and you're like, okay, like you're starting to just like throw layers of what's the craziest, most creative thing that you can think of, and you think more is going to tell an audience that it's a better and better story. But Schitt's Creek, I mean, not that much even happens. Like 6 seasons, and I mean the characters, the character arcs are great and subtle and realistic and exciting and deep, but they're never like, I'm pregnant, and then end the scene. Anyway, I don't know why I felt the need to talk about this, but I feel like it's a good example. People are simple. People watch shows not to be preached at, not to, not just for these little elements of popcorn in the plot. People watch shows because it's as if those characters are real and they're your real friends, and you almost feel connected to these people. That's why, those screaming fans that go meet the cast of a show, it's almost as if they really know them because you really connect. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you need someone to give you advice on how to write a really good show, I've never written anything. I've never reviewed anything really. But I have really good advice. Schitt's Creek's great.